right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The board did have executive session. We did take a vote in executive session to approve a proposal from our consultants on a mining issue, on the mining issue, with room for some negotiations. The vote was 4-1. So before we begin the public hearing, let's start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Going to do something else a little out of order. Can we have roll call in case we vote at the end of the public hearing?
Supervisor Fine?
Present.
Councilman Denbach?
Present.
Councilwoman Clausen?
Present.
Councilman Eustace?
Here.
Councilman Rooster?
Here.
Okay, I make a motion to reopen the public hearing on the changes to the Lake Carmel Park District Town Code sections.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, at the last town board meeting, we began discussing some of the changes that had been incorporated, never leaving well enough alone. I also took a second and third look at the code changes and thought if we're going to change this section, we might really want to, make it, bring it really up to date. And there were some things that I think were missed and some things that we might want to talk about. We had extensive discussions on the fees that were contained in the original code sections and the changes to the fees. And we incorporated those changes. But we have, in the past, to obviate the need for a public hearing every time you want to change a fee, we have referred to the fee schedules as set by the board, so that in case we wanted to change the fee for, you lost beach ID, or to not displaying the registration from 125 in either direction, that we would have to hold a whole new public hearing, whereas if we just did the fees the way we do all our other fees and say, by resolution, if there was a change, we could just do that. So I suggest that we make that change. I don't know, I have a few things, so I don't know if we want to do them one at a time. That's the major one. Some of them are kind of minor, maybe we don't need to talk about tying your horse to a post in Lake Carmel anymore, or bringing torpedoes to the beach. But what do you think about doing the fees?
I'm fine with it.
And then we can just draft it so that it reads fees as approved by the board. Okay. On the second page, and maybe nobody else is confused by this, but section D, these provisions shall not make unlawful any act necessarily performed by any officer or employee in the line of duty or work. And then E is like a complementary section. Any act performed hereunder which might be otherwise unlawful shall be lawful if performed under or pursuant to a permit, except that it not be otherwise prohibited by any local law or ordinance. I don't think we can ever give somebody the right to do something that's unlawful, even if
permit.
no.
So we just want to remove it.
I'd like to remove D and E.
I think D is trying to say that there may be things that aren't typically allowed in the Lake Carmel Park District, but the employees or the officer, the police or Kent Police, or taking a motorboat on the lake. we're not allowed to
Except
do
if a
that.
police, right.
Yeah, it's allowing those, it's saying that those things are not unlawful in the line of duty, right? That's the way I read that. Right? I don't see anything wrong with D.
So we'll,
But I think we should strike E.
What's it again?
E is any act performed hereunder which might be otherwise unlawful shall be lawful if performed under or pursuant to a permit, except that it be not otherwise prohibited by any local law or ordinance.
Would that allow, would that, and help me out, Kevin, the Lake Como Fire Department does training, and sometimes they have a boat with a motor. Would that be something that they have training course? Don't they use a boat for rescue and?
wasn't that why we left D in?
That would be D, I think.
That's why we left D in, so then
Okay.
if they're out there with a
Well,
motorboat.
it's unlawful to have a motorboat.
Those are exceptions to the code anyways, but at no time do I ever understand the law, like the supervisor just said, that we can give anybody permission to break the law. We can give them permission to bend rules, do you know what I mean? Or have like emergency situations where we can violate laws, but at no time can we ever give people permission to break the law.
Okay.
So, I don't think that that one would hold. Do you know what I mean? If it's a rule, you know, like a Lake Como rule, yes, we can violate that, but we can't give permission to break the law.
So-
We could use it for some other purpose.
So I'm trying to just decipher what this means, because I never understand any of these things. But say that there was and I don't know, I'm just gonna use a noise ordinance for an example, that if we gave a permit for there to be a special event down there that the noise ordinance would not apply to, that they're not breaking the law or the ordinance, it says, because we've given them the permit to do it. Is that the way I
Then
read
it's
that?
not unlawful, it's unlawful to do it without a permit.
But that's what it's saying. Any act performed hereunder which might be otherwise unlawful, it'd be unlawful to do it, shall be lawful if performed under or pursuant to a permit. You went and got a permit to now do it.
But it already says what's unlawful to do without a permit.
Right, so if it's already in there, then let's strike it.
Right, so E.
Is that like parking on the lake shore for July 4th, for fireworks?
Right,
You
not-
can't park on the lake shore now, but everybody does when the fireworks, and they're all out of town, so it violates the law. But I thought it said something like that in there, except for, it doesn't say anything with, like, except for the,
Except that it be not otherwise prohibited by any local law or ordinance. And it's the permit, you can't give somebody a permit to do something unlawful.
right, and nobody gets a permit to park on the lake
Right.
shore, it's just that it's not enforced on that night because it would be impossible.
Alcohol
So
permit. in the
that's
park.
why I think that's why it was in there. I could be wrong.
So strike E,
Strike
but
E.
leave D.
Leave D.
Right,
Okay.
Chris?
Yes.
The next section, 50-5, that talks about boat registration. We've been doing the trolling motor as a pilot program. I don't know if we feel it's time to incorporate it as a regular program, in which case I think that, and Bobby, correct me if I'm wrong, there are stickers for the trolling motors. You have to register and you get a sticker for the trolling motor. So I think we should add 3, because not only do you get the stickers for your boats, but you would also get one for your trolling motor. So we could do something like trolling motors must display a registration sticker. They must be registered yearly at the fee established through town board resolution.
There's no other mention of trolling.
No, there's no
So
other.
we should add trolling
Should be
motors.
in there.
Right. Okay, and then, we could probably leave this 50-7, preservation of plant life. G, that's the one about hitching your horse. No person shall hitch any horse or other animal to or leave the same standing near enough so as to injure any lawn or grass plot.
Years ago, we used to have horses and come through. Just want to let you know that.
I'm fine if everybody wants to leave it in, I didn't know.
You could just say any animal.
Any
That would
animal.
include a horse.
So take out horse.
Kind of funny.
I know. Okay, and then general conduct, 50-12. And maybe you want to leave this in. I just had a question about it. Any person shall be guilty of violating these rules and regulations for the following. And section E is annoying persons.
This whole section is probably unconstitutional. 5012B is unconstitutional, 5012E, 5012J maybe, 5012K probably, 50.
Yeah, the prize
50N
fight too, I think.
Definitely, is also unconstitutional.
Yeah, I mean, should we take, yeah, I did have the torpedoes in J and the ringer prize fight in K also highlighted. Because, right, Chief, I mean, you can't have torpedoes probably anywhere in town, not just
Not just at Lake Carmel.
not just at Lake Carmel. So, I mean, do we want to take a whole
Strike
bunch
out
of them out?
Torpedoes?
Torpedoes.
And then right here, torpedoes.
Jimmy?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can leave the prize fight in. Do we want to take out annoying persons
How do you even define that?
We
Yeah.
could list them.
by name?
The annoying people?
Everybody submit your list of annoying persons. So we'll take out annoying persons?
Yeah.
Okay. We took out torpedoes.
We'll take out torpedoes. Do
Are we
we,
leaving ring fight or prize fight?
I think we could take out whether or not a ring fight or prize fight. I think we take out that language.
Okay.
When they say annoying persons, do you think they're like talking about disturbing the peace, you know, like just causing trouble? Can we just reword it to mean that somebody's,
Well, except H is doing any act tending to or amounting to a breach of the peace, so we don't need
All
to
right.
describe them as annoying.
we can throw out annoying persons.
Okay. And,
Yeah.
and the other thing, and I don't know if it's necessary, in 5015, motorboats, airplanes, and drones. Right now, the language is with the exception of electric trolling motors, and I don't know if we should add the exception of permitted trolling motors, or permitted trolling motors, because you do need
What
to
number are we
have
on? I'm sorry.
5015?
5015.
Motorboats, airplanes, and drones. So with the exception of
Permitted
permitted electric trolling
trolling
motors.
motors.
Does this mean in 5015 with the drones? We had a drone issue with over Lake Carmel with the fireworks and stuff. So they're sort of in violation, sort of, right? Sort of. Yeah, here we go.
And those were my suggested changes.
Oh, boy.
I mean, Kevin, according to that rule, you gotta go out there and ticket those airplanes flying over Lake Carmel. Yeah. No matter how high they are up there.
Can we get a helicopter, you think, for the department?
Well, we're thinking about getting a bird that knocks them out of the sky.
Yeah.
That's a little rough. All right, so that's all I had to.
Yeah, I'll just reiterate, I just don't like the fact that the lake, Arts in the Lake gets to have parties with alcohol and glass containers and everything, and they can invite all sorts of non-taxpayers from everywhere, and they get to have fun in their lake and have no restrictions as to alcohol. However, our residents are restricted. So in section 5019, no person shall enter or remain on parklands with any alcohol or possession of any alcoholic beverages except for property leased to the tenants of the Arts in the Lake Center. And then the same thing with glass containers. I don't know why they get a pass in glass containers as well, but just seems like a silly idea that you could go to a concert for Arts on the Lake and sit outside with your glass of wine, but if you go to Beach 3, you can't do it. You know, one is exclusively, used and paid for by the taxpayers, and one is completely not paid for or utilized by the taxpayer. So it seems like it would be the other way around, if at all. But it's just been my point since last time. I don't know why out-of-town art connoisseurs are treated any differently than the guy and gal who lives on North Terry Hill.
It's also the Lake Carmel Community Center, and I think your painting, and no pun intended, of the people that go to Arts on the Lake as effete out-of-towners,
I go
sitting
to
there
the, I go
sipping
to the
their wine.
concerts. I'm a taxpayer.
You go to Arts on the Lake, to the concerts, and it's all people I know every time I go.
It's a lot of people from the
it's a
town of
lot of
Kent.
people
Yes,
from the
there's a
town of
few that
Kent.
come out, but they're supporting the arts. It's a private entity, and like you say, it's no different than the Lake Carmel Community Center. There's never been a problem. It's been handled, it's been over 10 years. And like I said, there's a lot of taxpayers. Matter of fact, a bunch of us are going Friday night.
No, but that's
Listen
not
to
my,
Frank Sinatra.
that's not my point. I mean, I'm not proposing to ban fun or alcohol at the Arts on the Lake. My point is that if you wanted to sit outside at the Arts on the Lake, right, you could do so with alcohol and not be in violation of these rules. If you wanted to sit outside your beach in your neighborhood and do the same thing, technically, you'd be in violation of the law and subject to the penalties therefore. So I don't understand why a resident who pays, Lake Carmel taxes, pursuant to how it's written, would not be able to walk down the street and go to their beach and have a glass of wine with a couple friends. But if you were a patron of the Arts on the Lake, you could do that. That's my point. It's not that Arts on the Lake should be prohibited.
Okay, but you were saying that it was out-of-towners. It kind of seemed like you were,
Well, one thing is, one area specifically, you're only allowed if you pay taxes to go to, the beaches.
Right.
And one is, you can be anybody and go there. And you'd think that that the more benefits would be toward the taxpayers and not toward the potential non-taxpayers.
right. But you know what,
switched.
I've been here 45 years, so, there's a lot of history to a lot of these laws. I mean, at one time, and I'm sure Kevin remembers, Beach 3, we had people dropping off kids on vans. And that's where all of those rules, you can't, code of conduct, you can't swear, you can't do this, because they were out of control, okay? You had times where people were drinking on the beaches, and there were fights because of the drinking. So again, there's history of it. I'm sure if a couple of ladies went down and had a glass of wine, nobody's really going to say anything. But the reason the laws were there was because things got out of control. Like
Right.
I say, I've been here for 45 years.
Well,
And-
that's
And
fine,
I
then.
think people also, when you bring your family down to the beach, you don't want people sitting there just, guzzling beers. I
Right.
mean, I think that's kind of, it's like more like, this is like a family event, because it's 11 to 7. It's not like, it's an evening occasion where people are sitting on the beach and
We had a drunk
and
man
having-
on the beach. I was 8 months pregnant and had to take a baby upside down in the water out of the lake because this man was drunk and he didn't even live around here. Okay? So like I say, things happen. That's why you just, trying to keep some order, but I don't think we should compare that to the Arts on the Lake.
If, my only point is, if it's not a big deal, and we're not going to enforce the people going down to the beach having a glass of wine, then we won't enforce it at Arts on the Lake, and there should be no carve-out. I don't know why we're having it both ways. I don't understand. And then the idea that I'm, stereotyping one set of people, you just said guzzling beers at the lake, right? So, I mean, everybody's stereotyping everybody, but the fact remains is that one area you're allowed to do something, one area you're not, and I just don't understand why one group is given this privilege in the law and one group is not. And the one group without the privilege are actually the taxpayers, and the one group with are people who live in town who are not Lake Carmel residents, a lot of them. People who are from out of town. I'm sure there's plenty of Lake Carmel residents. My point just is, if you're going to ban it in one spot, or allow it in one spot, it seems odd that it's a spot that, involves people who are not taxpayers of the district.
Well, do we allow alcoholic beverages on any other parklands? Do we allow it in Ryan's?
Years ago, I believe, and this goes way back, and I've been here 60-some odd years, back in the old days, the various political parties, the Towners Club, which I was president there for a couple of years, you'd get an alcoholic permit to have a fundraiser, to have, I mean, there was some big events down there. You don't do that anymore. I don't think it's permitted anymore. But I'm going back, Kathy, going back 45 years. I mean, I remember swimming at Beach 7. We lived on Towners Road, and I was one of those little kids that probably drove you crazy. But there are communities that give out alcoholic permits for, but it's their responsibility, and you have to sign a statement and provide an extra insurance certificate. But years ago, there was the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, all this things, but you don't have that anymore around here. Things have changed.
Well, how does the rest of the board feel about the carve-out?
I'm fine with the way it's written.
Let it go, and to be reviewed again next year, or annually, or every couple of years.
I said I'm fine with the way it's written.
I just wanted to, I want to make sure it's clear, first of all, I'm speaking as a resident, not as a member of the committee. I think we need to be fair across the board, and what I'm very concerned about is I'm actually in the process, unfortunately, I've been told there's been some damages, though, to the Lake Home Community Center, which, in order for you to have alcohol at the facility, depends on two things. Your insurance liability certificate that you must get if you have any alcohol on property, and the number of participants that you have at the property. Whereas I don't think we're doing the same thing in the new regulations that were put through. So I think we either need to be consistent across the board, or I shouldn't say we need to be consistent across the board, not, for example, in this case, the community center is one way, the old firehouse across on the lake is another way, and then of course the beaches themselves are in that another way. So I'm not sure what the resolution is, but I just wanted to express to the board that's my understanding of it, and that's what I know right now as far as the alcohol policies.
Well, the Arts on the Lake carries their own insurance, correct? As part of their lease. The Arts on the Lake carries their own insurance as part of their lease. So they're insuring the people coming on the property for their events.
But you are, as part of your application, I'm not sure if you know it or not, you're required, if you rent the property there, to have a $500,000 liability policy, no matter what. When you rent that place with one person or 100 people. If you have alcohol, you must have at least $1 million policy, and depending on the number of people you have in your party, which I believe the limit is 50. Once you hit 50 or above, I should say above 50, you actually have to have a licensed bartender, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a lot of discrepancies in what we're speaking to tonight.
And you're talking about the Arts on the Lake or the community center?
The community center.
The community center.
But the Arts on the Lake would have that.
Yeah, the Arts on the Lake's already carrying their own insurance. Yes,
Yes.
as part of their contract with the town.
And I might be wrong on this, but the Lake Carmel Community Center has their own board of directors still, and they had their own rules and regulations. And although it's in the Park District, we're talking about the beaches, right, mostly here? Maybe it needs to become together. I'll leave it up to the powers to be. But I know they seem to have their own regulations, their rules, their applications and stuff. I guess were approved by the town in past years. But the insurance and the bartender, that's the going thing. You gotta have insurance and stuff.
Sorry, I mean, it's complicated.
That's all right.
Just wanted to make sure that
Anyone else want to be heard about these rules? So what then I propose is to make the changes that we talked about tonight, have it in final form at the next town board meeting, and close the public hearing and put forth a resolution at that time.
Okay?
All right, if there's no other comment, I make a motion.
Are you going to send that to the advisory committee before you vote so they know what was changing?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll put it on the website. It'll,
You guys tell me a lot, yes, here, and then nothing ever responds.
okay, thanks a lot. All right, so I make a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're back to Lake Carmel. So we had a resignation of one of the board members, Madeline Perez, unfortunately resigned from the board. So I recommend that we accept Madeline's resignation with regret and advertise for new members.
Want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
I make a resolution accepting a resignation of member and advertising for the new members of the Lake Carmel Park District Advisory Board, whereas the Town of Kent wishes to accept the resignation of Madeline Perez as a member of the Lake Carmel Park District Advisory Board, and whereas the Town Board of the Town of Kent wishes to advertise for applicants for the vacant position on the Lake Carmel Park District Advisory Board. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board accepts the resignation of Madeline Perez as a member of the Lake Carmel Park District Advisory Board with thanks for her service, and be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Kent hereby authorizes its Town Clerk, Yolanda D. Capelli, to advertise for applicants to the Town of Kent Lake Carmel Park District Advisory Board. I make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This isn't on the agenda. I just want to, rather than waiting for the meeting to end, publicly thank the Savio Foundation. They donated, they've always been wonderful with our lifeguards and have donated to our lifeguards. And this week, the Savio Foundation donated $100 to each staff member to cover the cost of the CPR certification. So that was $700. So I really want to thank the Savios and their continued support for the Lake Carmel lifeguards and all they do for the community in general, and this donation in particular. They're a really wonderful family, and it's a wonderful foundation, so thank you.
I think we also have to appoint, they did their interview for a new member.
Yeah, but we hadn't
We
advertised.
hadn't advertised.
So that's why.
So we can't appoint,
No. We have to give people an opportunity.
okay.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Eustace Park revitalization. This is something we've been talking about for a while, is bringing additional activities and amenities to Eustace Park. And so we are working with an engineering company towards a grant to actually do a plan for Eustace Park. The town is not, the engineering for this project has been donated to the town. And we are submitting a grant application through the Environmental Protection Fund Grants Program for Parks, through the consolidated funding, which is due at the end of this month, which is due July 30th. And we have, we're kind of not ready to put it out. We have kind of a mock-up of some of the amenities that we would like to bring to the park to make it really more used and user-friendly, including a multi-use sport court, which was one of the things that our Director of Parks and Rec, Jared Kaczynski, had come and talked about at a town board meeting, and an additional playground and a pavilion, and just, really making that park shine. And so we have...
Restrooms?
And restrooms in the pavilion, yeah, restrooms, everybody's looking for restrooms. Additional parking. We actually set aside some funds to make some improvements at Eustace Park in the budget, which included actually restrooms. So tonight, we have before us a resolution to approve applying for this funding, and hopefully we can get the funding and with other, matching funds, be able to really revitalize Eustace Park and make it, make it the jewel that it was always meant to be.
Question. With the submission, are we including the proposal from Jared that he presented to us? Is that part of the submission process?
It's one of the areas that was, yeah.
Because I think we should make sure, because he, the Director of Parks and Recreation did not want bathrooms there. I think it's the position of this board that we do want bathrooms in.
Oh, no, bathrooms are included, so it
Well, I know, but the
includes.
But in the
that's what I'm
original
asking. The
presentation-
Oh,
proposal
no,
that was
yeah,
presented to
no,
us.
just some of the aspects of that. So the multi-use, it was after that presentation that the board said, we want to go ahead and go whole hog and do a pavilion and bathrooms. So all of that is incorporated.
Okay,
into
and with the submission, and maybe you don't know the answers, with the submission, we are not bound to the exact locations of the
Absolutely not,
amenities, because
no.
as Bill has pointed out, some disagreement with the director on certain things and
Right.
positions and stuff like that.
This
and
is
I tend
just
to
a-
agree with.
This is just a general idea of what we're looking to fund, and to submit some kind of plan that, I think all of these amenities can be shifted if we need to shift. Not all may be included, but at least to have as thorough an application as possible, and an engineered application with, price estimates and stuff, so that it puts us in really good stead to actually get the grant. We're not bound to this, to the actual plan, but more the concept.
Okay.
I think to Paul's point about location and stuff, the good thing about this, Paul, is we're gonna have an engineer there looking at it, the distances on things. That was some of Bill's concerns. And with an engineer to come out and lay it out, it may be able to satisfy some of those issues that we were having.
Well, we had the engineer draw the plans.
They're already drawn? The newest plans?
Yeah.
Tentative,
Yeah.
it's an ongoing design.
So it's, okay, so we're not going off what we were shown in the presentation from Jared.
That was my question. Is that
We
Yeah,
have
no.
new plans then.
Right, there's new plans that were drawn up by Inside Engineering,
Okay.
which we'll send around to everybody. We just got
Okay.
these the other day.
So that,
But
that,
again,
was, that was my concern, because the board had a lot of concerns about
yeah,
the plan.
and I
specifically
think,
Bill
I
and
think the
myself.
board will be
Okay.
more pleased with this.
Bill, have you seen these new plans?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
They make you happier than the old plans?
I'm always happy. So, progress in any parks,
Yes.
recreation,
They've made-
for the community and the families.
They include a bocce court.
And hoping that money tree comes in.
Yeah. So, yeah.
What is the amount of the grant that you're asking for, and what will the matching funds be?
We are looking for $1 million.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
$1 million, isn't it?
$1 million? So we have,
No, not we, but go ahead.
I didn't hear you.
I don't think it's we, as far as the match, but we'll see. Let's see what
So
we
it's
can
$1
do.
million that
And
the
they
grant
usually
is
don't,
going
we don't
for.
get the $1 million, or the total grant, so, but go ahead.
All right,
We're taking a shot, a long shot.
okay. And I just want to make sure that you keep in mind with this engineer that at times emergency helicopters land at Eustace Park.
No
To-
question.
Make
No
sure that this is
question.
still,
That place is still going to be for medevacs.
Okay.
Yes, oh, no question.
all right.
Well, we're not doing,
Well, I just wanna make sure
there are no
that this
plans to
engineer is-
disrupt
knows.
the fields at
Okay,
all.
thank you.
No,
Okay.
no question. Well,
Okay.
you apply for the top grant, and usually you get back token. We're not going to get the full thing, so, but go ahead, I'm sorry. I'm trying to lay low here, because,
No, I'm just wondering, are you gonna show everybody what these plans are? It seems like not everybody has seen them. The town board hasn't even seen them, but you're gonna apply for a grant with an engineer that's volunteering. So nobody has seen the prices. I mean, we can't even get a grant going for Lake Carmel's dam that the town of Kent owns. So that's $1 million there, $2 million for the dam, $8 million for highway. I don't know how we're gonna live here.
Well, we did submit a grant
Did
for
you
Lake
wanna-
Carmel.
Huh?
We did submit a
Lake
grant
Carmel
for
Dam
Lake
grant
Carmel.
has been worked on with Insight, and hopefully the bridge grants have been submitted. We're waiting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things. We've gotten some turndowns.
The bridge grant, you mean the,
The dam grant, the dam and the bridge grant.
okay, but the bridge is owned by the county.
We asked for some money, right? We're looking on an application from the dam. There's a question about the ownership of the,
There's a
I'm not part of this, Kathy.
Okay, well, there's a state bin number for that dam, and it will tell you and show you, and there's minutes going back to 1988, the county owns that
And how did I
bridge.
get into the Lake Carmel Dam? But it went down to the county, and there's a big issue of who owns it, and I'll leave that to the supervisor. But we have supported the Bridge New York grants. We applied for a Lowe's grant nationally, and we didn't get it, so we go to Plan B. We have applied for Preserve New York for an assessment grant at Lake Carmel Community Center. We're waiting word. It's a long shot, but now we're a player in many little things that are going on.
It's just that before that, it was the dam you couldn't apply for the grant unless you had a lot of the items in order as far as the engineering and the cost and what they were doing. At least that was my
The grant
understanding.
is for engineering.
The grant is for the engineering, so that's been submitted. It's
That's
only
been
been 8
submitted.
years.
Right.
Okay.
And
But
we
I'm
had
just saying-
Insight work on that one as well. Insight was
I'm just
involved
saying,
with our
we have
grant
a lot
writer.
of things out there, which is great, you're getting grants, because
Mm-hmm.
they were never available before. But,
No, you said that wrong. We're not getting grants. We're applying for
okay,
grants.
we're,
And
but you've
hopefully
gotten
we'll-
some
we'll be
grants.
getting
But
grants.
I'm just saying that it's easier now. Before, there wasn't a process that you could go get these grants like this.
Well,
So,
a
right,
lot-
but I'm saying if you don't get the grants, I mean, you have a lot of, projects out there that are gonna cost this town a lot of money.
We're not going to get all these projects. We'd love to get these projects
okay.
because it would put us into the 22nd century, I guess. As far as the design scope for Eustace Park, it's still in its working phase. You change this, you change that. Every day it changes. Then we got to work with the DEP and the DEC, okay? Once it becomes a document of some kind of reality, because guess what? Well, we might not get funded for X, Y, and Z, so, it'll look good on a plan, but it probably won't be funded.
Right. And so the conceptual plan kind of allows for whatever money we have. You know, the board has high hopes, and we'll do the bathrooms and the pavilion, which I think is a great idea. We'll expand the parking, a lot of things. But when it comes time and say we get a grant for $200,000, well, then we scale down the project accordingly and hope in the
do it in
future
piecemeal.
to add.
Okay.
Because if we have the space to put in all these amenities, if we don't get them all put in the first shot, which would be the ideal thing, but if we don't get them put in the first shot, then we wait and see what happens next. But at least it's movement towards improving that park,
Thank
which
you for
is,
explaining it that way. I'd rather see it go piecemeal than tell me it's $1 million project that we're gonna do with $2 million over here, $1 million there, and $8 million to highway.
yeah, no, relax.
I mean, the
I
only
was trying to
pushback,
get to Sue, I was trying to make a comment, but I can't make the whole comment because we're still in negotiations, but we're getting some help, and hopefully something's going to happen, okay? And that's as far as I better shut up, because whatever we do, there's, questions and challenges, that's the process, but we got to come across something. I mean, we apply for a few things for the Lake Carmel, I want to target Lake Carmel, and I love to turn me loose, but I would probably have a divorce by then because there's just so much involved between septic, oil contamination, algae bloom, zombie homes, but we could be a model
there.
attacking this.
No,
You got
I
me
agree
going
with you.
now. See, Sue, you got me going.
the only pushback I would push onto the money is, or particularly the money for Eustace Park, is that Every year, the auditor comes up here and we have a fund balance that is well in excess of standards. And I keep asking them, every year, what money do we need to be, AAA rated, that we have enough money in reserve so if anything goes wrong? And the number is always millions of dollars less than we have. So we have money sitting in the bank, taxpayer money, that isn't doing anything. We don't need it. It's serving zero purpose. And so I've always been of the mindset when it comes to projects, if the town board agrees on the project is better having that $1 million. I'd write the check today because we have it in the bank, because the $1 million in the bank, that is well in excess of what our auditors are telling us is necessary, and it's just sitting there not doing anything. I would put that into Eustace Park. I would put that into a lot of our areas, but we haven't done that. But the money is there. I mean, some of the money was stashed away during your term, and that's a good thing in the sense that, there's a lot of money there that can be spent for capital projects. We're talking about salaries and pension, that stuff has to keep going. But when you're talking about the Eustace Park project, in theory, we could spend the whole thing. We could cut the check today and go to our auditor, and he would tell us, you still have $1 million of fund balance that you don't need. We could.
Let me just add a couple of things to really get you going here, okay? There is some development going on in Lake Carmel, okay? Not necessarily maybe the Park District, but I'm going to say the Park District. And one of the first things I said, because I was contacted, and I did it publicly at a meeting here, we would hope that there is a Lake Carmel Good Neighbor Grant for Lake Carmel. Terry Hill Memorial, I call it Terry Hill Cove, needs dredging big time. You did it 15 years ago. I don't know. There's been no development, yet it's filled in again. It needs help. They did not say no. But I'm not going to come out. I shouldn't be coming out saying this, but there's a good chance. The owners have been down looking at that, and there's a chance. I've also done a few other things. And they're going to run me out of town, and that's fine. But I'm trying to make progress in this town before I ever leave. But I asked for a major donation, significant donation as far as I'm concerned, because there's a group of people in my town that need assistance and help, and for some reason we haven't been able to address that. And again, the Lake Carmel Community Center, we applied for a grant for the basketball thing at the basketball on the community center and got denied. I thought we were going to get it, but it says no, it's connected with COVID. So we got denied. That doesn't mean we stop. Oh no, that basketball court's been like that for 20 some odd years, I get told by, but we applied for that. We're very active and very, and if we can get some success of 1 or 2 grant applications, we're burning the midnight oil. We're not going to get all these things. I mean, if somebody adding up all this money it's going to cost the taxpayer, we're also getting some support, and it's very important that this process starts. And I will share the temporary design, but guess what? Tomorrow it changes. Oh, we don't like this here. We don't want. That's the process, and I'm sure there'll be if the grant comes or whatever, there'll be some kind of public hearing, and there'll be changes. It's conceptual. Anyway, I said enough. Morning.
My name is Ed. I've been here for 8 years. I know you've been here 40, 60, 8 years. I love the place, and I love to see it develop. And I know it's going to take a lot of work, but I'm willing to do that. I'm only here because I was interested in finding out what's happening with the basketball court that you just mentioned at the community center in Lake Carmel.
I can answer.
I've been working in recreation for many years. I'm a former employee for the Department of Juvenile Justice for the City of New York, but I have always liked it a community to live in, to raise my kid, who is in college now, from here, and I want to be part of the community in helping develop the area, our community. That community center, I understand last year I went to some of the board meetings at Lake Carmel, and I was told that they are going to work on that area, the community center, the basketball court, the handball court player. I was interested in trying to see what can be done to get it developed. You mentioned there were some funds that was going to be towards it, but it was disapproved. And I'm a little disappointed now, but I don't give up that easily.
No, you misunderstood.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
They applied for a grant for the basketball court, but that doesn't mean we aren't moving forward with it. Jamie, we've been in touch with the highway supervisor. He's gonna come in and pave it for us and get the basketball hoop straightened out, and we're gonna get another one put in. As far as the handball court, we had all good intention of rebuilding that, as almost a community project this past, not this past, it was already last year, wasn't it? Yeah, COVID hit, and we
Right.
kind of
No,
said.
no, of course.
But I think
truly
the
understand.
important thing you've seen down there is the fences have all now
Oh,
been replaced. The handball court that was
drive around just to
dilapidated is
see
all
what the-
torn down and it's ready to go, the
I
structure's there.
drive around every day just to see where the progress is.
The
I'm
basketball
glad
court will
that they
be
put the
done.
fence.
Yeah.
Richie is going to redo the basketball court, reskim it or whatever, but right now he's doing the paving throughout town, so I'd say probably more fall time. That would be
Yeah, that's what he
more
was telling
realistic
us.
to
And we'll
redo
keep
the
on.
basketball court.
It's not as big of a project as the one we did down by the lake,
No.
because he's
Yeah, I
just,
mean, I like the playground they have here, and I like the playground they have at the public park, but we should have it in our community park. Something for the kids, like a playground, something for the seniors, like
you know,
bocce, as I
and here's
mentioned
what I'll
before.
tell you, that's something you should bring up with the advisory board, because it's gonna have to be paid for by the Lake Carmel community.
The Lake Carmel?
Advisory
I
Board.
want to be directed where to go so I can
You've been to the meetings
voice
that
it.
you've gone to.
Yeah.
Just
So-
You've
bring
been to the
it-
meeting
yeah.
last year,
So-
you have been to the meeting this year, you know that's all
And
I
all
speak
last
about.
year.
Yeah, we've been
I
there.
thought you were there.
All that, for the last
Recently.
couple of years, I've been going.
Oh, okay.
But that's something where, as an advisory board, if they want that in the community, they should advise the liaisons to bring it to the town board. You know, we need to hear that from the
See, one of
advisory.
my efforts is trying to find outside money, because I think everybody's taxed to the hilt around here. And we're trying.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure, since you brought it up, gave me an opportunity to hear
Yeah.
what's going on with that area, because it's an area that can be developed. I mean, it's just a matter of effort, time, money, of course. And I know I'm one in the community who wanted to see it develop. And I'm going to do the best I can with the community, because at least I know a lot of my neighbors now, and try and get something done so that it could be developed. So our children can go there, I can play, and the seniors can play.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are you ready for this? Okay. I make a resolution authorizing the town to apply for a grant for Eustace Park, whereas the town board is in receipt of information regarding the Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historical Preservation's Environmental Protection Funds Grant Program for Parks, Preservation, and Heritage for the purpose of rehabilitating Eustace Park, and wishes to authorize the town supervisor to apply for a grant under the program. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes the town supervisor to apply for the EPF grant program, and it is further resolved the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes the use of matching funds equal to 50% of the total project cost in order to satisfy the program requirements, and it is further resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes and directs the supervisor to execute any and all documents necessary to give effect to this resolution. I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we have some 3 violations that the code enforcer is requesting we authorize the correction of. We have a violation at 22 Rosedale Road, 58 Wangtown Road, and 15 Chatham Road. They're all overgrown brush and grass. There are pictures attached. The owners of the property have been given the opportunity to remedy these violations and have not done so. So the code enforcer contacted JB Affordable Lawn Care, Rona Landscaping, and Dirt and Demo Incorporated. Rona Landscaping and Dirt and Demo failed to submit a bid. JB Affordable Lawn Care submitted the following: 22 Rosedale Road, $175, 58 Wangtown Road, $200, 15 Chatham Road, $175. So there being only one bid submitted for each project, I ask that you approve these.
Maureen, just a comment. I think these addresses look very familiar. And once our zombie hunter comes on shortly.
You'll like that title.
I'm sorry. There are some banks and some lenders that are actually paying the fee and registering their vacant homes in our town. So we're developing a revenue line that is significant at this point. But there are some banks and lenders that are avoiding us. And I think we need to get the attorney and building department to really look into the fine process and the legal process to make this happen. These three addresses look very familiar, and that one on 8 Heathcote looks like it should be in a science fiction movie, and I believe there's animals. We're trying to look into that further, and we always get a stumbling block, but I think it's been vacant for 7 or 8 years. They haven't paid their taxes and lost in space someplace. And I thought it was going to go up for auction with the county, but the pandemic slowed it down, so I've got to get back down here. But if you go by there, you can't see the home. It's, and I think we're trying to get somebody to clear it out so the building inspector can inspect, because I think there's either cats or raccoons in it and stuff. And we need to clean that up. But, so be prepared. We're going to start working on that process. We have to. Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing correction of violations and acceptance of proposal and charge back to property owners. Whereas the code enforcement officer of the town of Kent issued an order to remedy a violation, the order to remedy removal of brush, directing the removal of rubbish, excess weed, grass, and brush growth from the following properties: 22 Rosedale Road, 58 Wangtown Road, and 15 Chatham Road. And whereas the order to remedy requires each owner to correct the violations or respond to the code enforcement office within 10 days, and to date the owners of the properties have not responded, whereas pursuant to Chapter 55A of the Town Code of the Town of Kent regarding property maintenance, upon the failure of any owner to comply, the building inspector is authorized to correct the violation subject to the approval of the town board, and the town board wishes to authorize the building inspector to correct the violations. And whereas consistent with the town's procurement policy, the Town of Kent requested 3 written proposals from contractors to correct the violations of the properties and received 1 proposal in response, a copy of which is annexed here to and incorporated by reference. And whereas the town board wishes to accept the sole and therefore lowest proposal submitted to the properties as further outlined below: 22 Rosedale Road, $175 by JD Affordable Lawn Care; 58 Wangtown Road, $200 by JB Affordable Lawn Care; and 15 Chatham Road, $175 from JB Affordable Lawn Care. And now therefore be it resolved, the town board of the town of Kent hereby accepts the proposal of JB Affordable Lawn Care, Inc. as described for a total cost not to exceed $550. Be it further resolved, the actual cost of correction of the violation plus the accrued legal rate of interest from the date of completion of the work shall be charged to the property owner by the town in accordance with Chapter 55A, Section 12B. I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next item we can,
It's under the threshold, so we don't need a resolution for payment for the generator maintenance.
no, so let's skip over that. And the last item on the agenda is extension of the mining moratorium. Some concern was voiced at the last meeting and has been voiced to me outside of the meetings that if we're going to extend it, we better do it quickly because the deadline is coming up. And what the board has discussed, and the board discussed with the planning board and the public through a Zoom meeting back at the end of April, was having basically just revamping the entire soil removal legislation and tightening the whole thing up rather than doing it piecemeal, which we had submitted a addendum and additions to, and the original, the existing soil removal law that seemed to basically please no one. And so in discussions with our experts and the public, it seemed that the more the more viable way to move forward was just to revamp the entire code, make it really tight so that it achieved the ends we wanted to do without leaving too much wiggle room for people to come in. And so we had talked to our environmental consultant, engineer, and planner about providing some kind of proposal to us. As I stated at the beginning of the meeting, we're ready to move forward with them kind of providing proposals, working with the town attorney and the town board to really put this thing to bed and get it in some kind of form that that the town board can accept, that the public can accept, and that will, once and for all, make this a tight law. But that being said, the extension of the mining moratorium is set to end on September 2nd, I believe. It starts on the 3rd and goes to the 2nd. And so tonight we would need to set a public hearing for our next meeting, which is August 3rd. I believe it's in everyone's best interest, although I generally, and the board generally prefers to hold a public hearing over 2 sessions. I think with the support of the moratorium that we've seen, that we would probably open and close the public hearing on August 3rd, so that if we were to pass an extension, which I can't imagine we would not do, of the mining moratorium, we could do it that night and still be working toward the end. You know, I mean, I would hope we don't need another full 6 months, but I think 6 months is a wise extension to seek at this point, and work towards actually getting the legislation that we want as a town. So what we have before us is the local law extending the moratorium, and, you know, not only extending it, but also all the original language from the moratorium, the original legislation enacting the moratorium. So, does anybody have any?
Nope.
Okay.
You wanna
Want to do it?
I'd like to make a motion to pass a resolution introducing local law. You know what number it is, Lauren?
Leave it blank.
Leave it blank.
What?
You just say leave it blank?
Leave it blank.
That's what Lana
2021.
always says. Are you going to give him a number?
You just did the marijuana dispensary, but I don't remember what number it was.
All right, we'll leave it blank and fill it
There
in
you go.
later. 2021, and providing for public notice and hearing. Be it resolved that an amendment to the Kent Town Code extending a temporary land use moratorium prohibiting mining is hereby introduced by myself as introductory local law to be determined of the year 2021 before the Town Board of the Town of Kent and the County of Putnam and the State of New York, and be it further resolved that copies of the aforesaid proposed amendment, which is attached hereto, be laid upon the desk of each member of the board, and be it further resolved, the Town Board will hold a public hearing on said proposed amendment at the Town Hall in the Town of Kent, New York, at 7:00 p.m. on August, what was the date?
Third.
August 3rd, 2021, and be it further resolved, the town clerk publish or cause to be published a public notice in the official newspaper of the Town of Kent of said public hearing at least 10 days prior hereto. I make this motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Bill, all yours.
I ask the town board to approve the following vouchers as of July 20th, 2021. They're over the threshold. Semco Water, $3,926.14 for Water District Number 1. City Carding, $13,490.32 for Lake Carmel Garbage. City Carding, $13,851.44. Lake Como Garbage. Global Montello Group, $4,423.50 for fuel. Nightcomco, $2,846 in two-way radios for police. The New York State Department of Civil Service, $205,206.86 for health insurance. The Town of Kent Municipal Repairs, $5,799.62 chargebacks, police, April. Town of Kent Municipal Repairs, $4,186.67 chargebacks, police, May. Chargebacks for the Town of Kent Municipal Repairs, $2,280.15 chargebacks for recreation, the month of May. Town of Kent Municipal Repairs, $3,003.61 chargebacks for sanitation, the month of May. Town of Kent Municipal Repairs, $18,284.15 chargebacks for highway, the month of May. And again, the Town of Kent Municipal Repairs, $9,224.21 chargebacks for the month of June for sanitation. I ask you to approve as read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I have limited announcements. The summer movie series starts tomorrow night, free of charge, and there'll be a concession stand open. Takes place at Ryan's Park. Wednesday, July 21st, The Sandlot, bingo at 7 p.m., movie at around 8:15. August 4th, Shrek, trivia at 7, movie at 8:15. Wednesday, August 18th, Raya, I don't know.
Raya.
What is it?
Raya.
Raya. That was a good guess.
I have kids.
Bingo at 7, movie at 8. And Friday, September 9th, Jurassic Park, magic show at 6:45, and movie at 8. So kids, adults, everyone's welcome. This is just like a little exciting preview. We've discussed this year. Kent Community Day is actually Kent Community Weekend. So we're going to have a lot of fun free events over the weekend. Friday, the 10th of September, there'll be a magic show, 6:45, and that night will be Jurassic Park at 8. Saturday, 9/11, there's going to be a Remembrance 5K walk. We're still working on the location. Big Truck Day, 1 to 3 at the library, and a youth basketball tournament with Kent PD and Fire at the Lake Carmel basketball courts. Sunday, 9/12, the community market and fair at 11 a.m. at Town Center. So we'll keep you posted with these events when we have them all ironed out, but it should be a really great weekend, and we'll honor those that that have fallen on 9/11 and as a result of 9/11 afterwards. So we'll be sure to incorporate that into the events because this year marks the 20th anniversary, which is really amazing that 20 years have passed since that day. And the Kent Library, Exploring the Ancient World, we have two of these presentations left. Tuesday, July 27th, Nefertiti and the Amarna period, and August 3rd, Archaeology 101. And that's it for me for announcements. Anyone
I
else?
got a couple. I just want to follow. I don't know if Susan heard me, but the engineering and design work will be part of the in-kind local match, it looks like. So, when you say $1 million, we're going to cut into that local match, and there's no guarantee we're going to get the maximum award. So I wanted to make sure that I get across. And I do have some good news. For those that we have been I'm saying my colleagues have put up with me. We have been advocating, especially this past year, as you know, the hamlet of Carmel, Route 52, parts of Route 6, As you know, if you go over the Dutchess County line, Route 52 in East Fishkill, and Fishkill's been resurfaced. And I keep on asking what happened to the town of Kent. We have sent on another email. We did do a resolution a year or two ago, and lo and behold, because of some of the noise and advocacy, and again, advocacy continues, we need to know, let everybody know where Kent is, because some of our state and federal people don't understand where the town of Kent is. It's not in between Rochester and Canada. Anyway, from a DOT official out of Albany through another friend of mine here locally, that happens to be our highway superintendent, we are on the spring calendar to get resurfaced. But as far as I'm concerned, we keep on advocating. But well, why not Kent? And it's so obvious right now. And we have 2 exits off 84. A few feet, it's the town of Patterson, but those people coming into Lake Carmel, there's 2 exits, and when something goes on in 84, they use our town. The intersection of 311 and 52, they put some nice plants there and stuff, and you can see some of them trampled by tractor trailers and all these things. So we really got to get moving on this, and but I just wanted to share that with you, that we are burning on all sides here. Every month we meet with the grants person, go over a whole long of list, and it's very time consuming, but we want to get some successes. We might apply for 100 grants, and if we get a few, it'd be great. I think we're over 75,000 total for the mini grants and stuff that we've got. And it doesn't include the Palmer Lake grant and some of the other major things. But we do have some significant ones out there, and we've got to get advocacy going. We've got to let people know. We've got to be Kent strong. So I just wanted to get back to you on that.
I have a couple of things, actually some questions and some things for the board I'd like to talk about that came out of the Lake Carmel Park Advisory Board last Monday, not last night. They are interested in putting up 2 16-foot flagpoles around Lake Carmel, one on the intersection of Route 52 and 311, and one on Towner's Road next to the signboards. They're asking for funding to do that. I don't know if we have a quote for it yet, but I did said I would bring it to the board. And the issue, I think, with putting the flags on the signboards like they've done at the other beaches was that it was blocking something that was a sight vision thing, so they want to put actually full flagpoles up.
Chris, didn't we have a flagpole behind the bulletin board? U.S. flag pole?
Not in these
years
2
ago?
locations.
Because
And they want to put a
when I was a kid
solar
and
light
played Little
on.
League Baseball here, I don't know how far you go back, but 311 and 52 was the memorial. The memorial,
No,
the
you remember when he
VFW.
was a kid swimming.
We
You
had the
said that.
VFW ceremonies there, and they had a parade from the 311 and 52 to the old, now it's Healy's, that next door, used to be the old VFW. We used to have hot dogs and stuff. But there was a flag there. I mean, they had ceremonies there.
So does that mean you're still in support of a flag being there?
Where on 52 and 311?
Right on the corner where the signboard is. They want to place it behind it, sticking up.
I think there used to be one there, but
So
I
that
could be wrong.
was one of the things they're bringing up. They're going to get quotes on them. I haven't seen the quotes for the flagpoles yet, but I think there
And
was
behind the
some
other signpost on town.
on Towners with solar lights on top lighting up the flags.
And make sure you just check, I know Walter's been talking with the guy from DOT, but make sure they go along with it, because parts of that is DOT property, or easement, or whatever they call it legally, and sometimes you have to get a permit. I'm sure there will be no problem with the
Yeah,
flag.
well, we'll look into that ourselves, I think. The other thing they're asking, and this has been an ongoing request from them, and Supervisor Fleming, this would probably have to be you talking to the supervising lifeguard down there, is that during the week, instead of just having Beach 3 open, if they can rotate the beach open and have the other one, and Beach 3 is the best beach, without a doubt. But if they could move the other one around the lake every other day, you know, on different days, so that different community areas in Lake Carmel get a beach open. I know we have a lifeguard shortage, I know that's an issue, but if we're opening 2 beaches, it shouldn't just be the same 2 beaches every day. We'll try to bump around the lake and open a different one as we go. Does anybody know, did the docks and rafts get put out yet?
They
Yes.
were put out, now they have to be inspected by the Department of
Okay.
Health. So-
They're not on page 7. They're not.
I think the health department has to inspect them.
Well, only after they're put out. I did call the health department to find out what the rules was, but that's quick. They told me that'll be easy. Once they're out, they'll just walk in
I
and
know,
make
but
sure
it's
they're
been a month, and for a month, I've asked this town board, and I've been told at every meeting they were gonna be put out. Every time.
So they're not out?
And they're not out. I drove around today. They're not out. And we have a pile of sand sitting at Beach 5 or in the parking lot. I don't know why. I heard that maybe permits weren't filed. And also, I would like to ask why West Lake Shore is not mowed by the sewer pump house. That's our property. It's Lake Carmel property. They just have an easement, which is all fenced in.
All right.
So,
So-
it's just that I've gone through this before, and, you know, everybody's new again, so
We
it's,
will ask
it
why
should be
it's not
mowed, and, because I think we want to put a sign there, I believe, that's one of the, West Lake Shore? Yes. And it's, you know, it's scraggly, and it's the entrance to the lake, and I'd like to see it look like the rest of the part of the lake. But, so the sand sitting there,
The permits are in place for the sand. We got them, for sure.
then why is it sitting there in a
I
pile?
don't know.
For
We will
2
ask.
months?
All you
I
can
thought
do-
maybe
all you can
Maureen,
do-
she's the
all
supervisor, that's
you
what I'm
can-
asking you.
All you can do is
This
ask
is the
us to
first
find
I'm
out.
hearing about the sand.
You
being
haven't
out
seen the
there.
sand sitting there in the parking lot at Beach 5 for 2 months. And the docks and the rafts, I don't understand why.
Spa Beach, right?
Well, there's been a reason why the docks and ramps haven't been out, and they haven't had a boat to pull them out. But I was told, I did talk to the crew chief, that he was trying to get the cutter back down there to pull it out. And the little boat that they have, he said, with the little motor on it, is not big enough to pull them
Well,
out.
ask the county, apparently they took the boats out of Lake Mayapack, they're just sitting there, maybe they could let you borrow one.
They took what boats out of Lake Mayapack?
The police boats.
They've already been,
sheriff.
they've
The
already
sheriff
been,
boats.
they've already been given back to New York State Parks and Recreation.
Oh, they already took them.
The
Well, again,
insignia's
could have
off.
rented something, but again, we know that the summer's coming, the harvester should have been fixed.
So there's no
way
rafts
before.
out at all yet?
I'm finding that out right now.
I didn't see 'em.
Well, when I drove by, I looked over Beach 2, Beach 7 doesn't have anything. I couldn't
Well,
see.
you know best, because you drive around there. We don't necessarily drive around Lake Carmel every day.
Right.
No, there was, I was there
Beach
today.
3.
I go
Right.
around, I rode around twice today.
I do
Okay.
believe with
So
that.
that, again,
Beach Street,
as of
they were
today,
out.
and,
I see.
August is
I-
kind of funny with the
I
lake
know, and I
anyways.
thought we had said I thought we had asked to put the rafts out back in June, end of June,
A month
I
ago,
thought.
a month
So-
ago. They should have been out even in May.
So the
Right.
vultures and
The vultures
the
like-
geese and the
Yeah.
ducks.
Yep,
Unbelievable.
yes, and I have a picture of a lot of the geese too, Chris, when they were molting, and they couldn't fly away. We have more than 25, so, just saying. I have
Oh, I
them.
know, I
Okay.
counted them. 25 wasn't the number.
But again, this is what I was saying, is that you guys say a lot here, and then I never hear anything more.
No, you know what, Kathy, I agree. We say what we think is gonna happen, but we
Right.
don't live in Lake Carmel, so we don't know that it didn't happen. I mean,
And there
I
was-
assumed that they were out. Again,
was-
I assumed that they were out.
There was a lot of concern about the docks, putting out the docks and the rafts in the past, because first of all, with the lifeguard shortage, the number of lifeguards you need when you have the raft and the docks on the beach is more than you need if you just have an open beach. And secondly, one of the issues that comes up with having the rafts is just like having the lines. If you get algae moving through, which we all know is transient, it's not like you get it and it just comes, because the lake moves. When you don't have the docks and the rafts up, the algae moves through and doesn't stay at a beach. So, especially last year when we had COVID and we had the shortage and everything.
Yeah, that was a different story. We decided very explicitly not to put them out during COVID. this
Right,
year.
and we had
and-
this conversation, and I
Yeah,
said I understood.
And this year, I'm concerned that they're not out. It's starting to
Right,
bother
and
me.
especially the dock, like I said, it's more dangerous you know, if you're saying that there's not enough lifeguards with the whatever, we paid a lot of money for these items, but you have more of a liability because with the dock cut short, there's a lot of rocks in it because it's always been built, you know, to go out further. So that's what I'm saying, is that I've been told a
So,
number of
like I
times.
said, I called the health department because I was curious if the lifeguard shortage was going to affect us being able to put the docks and the rafts out. I actually called them just this past week, and it will affect the fact that it may change the swim area. If the docks and rafts don't require extra lifeguards, the size of the swim area may increase if they're out there defining the swim area, and that's what would require extra lifeguards.
Right, but you know what, except for Beach 3, the areas are not that big, you know.
So they're
And they're more
inspecting-
concerned, they want the 3 feet, they want the numbers on the docks and stuff like that.
The health department is inspecting the docks tomorrow at Beach 3 at 11:30.
So, well, I guess you'd have to have Beach 3, you can't have a festival without them.
Signs on the docks.
So, and Paul, can I ask you if you have any report on the 494? I saw them out there working. I saw a little square done. Was that it?
Yeah, it was an issue around the manhole out there. That's what I've been told. So,
Did they give you a written report or anything?
a written report since their proposal, no, there's no additional work other than their original proposal.
Will they give you a written report?
Yeah, if you would like I mean,
I
you
think it's
typically,
good to have for the files of what's going on
yes,
and.
typically they would give us a report if there's additional work done because they'd have to charge us for that. I can ask for the scope. I understand it was located at a manhole, which was the problem.
Right, I can see the manhole out there, but it's inside the little island there, it's out, you know, there's a cone still there.
Sure.
So I didn't know if there's still an issue, because we didn't have to turn off our water, so I'm wondering what they actually did.
As far as I know, there was no water being turned off. There was no alert to that. I will check to see if there's going to be a report issued as to the final wrap-up of it. But I know it was a manhole, and there was no reason to at least turn the water off as of now, so.
Okay, well, August 3rd, I'll be asking the same questions again if I don't have answers, so, thank you.
Anyone else?
Just two quick things. First, I know they treated the lake today, but I'm just curious. I noticed that there was not even close to the number of postings that they normally put out. Were they concentrating in certain areas today? Would you happen to know?
Yeah, I'll see if I can pull up the email. But yeah, this wasn't like the full, it wasn't the full Cutrine Ultra, so yeah, it
The
was.
second and final is, at the last meeting 2 weeks ago, I asked in the comment section, public comment section about the dock behind AT Town Court. I asked this board again to please enact upon it. This was passed by the town board August 1st of 2017, and the dock is still there. And yes, I repeat, August 1st of 2017.
Okay.
Behind where?
AT Town Court.
We've had issues with that house too, there with trees and stuff.
Off of Towners. Can we send an inspector down there, Maureen?
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else?
If we can, I'd like to move to an executive session for a
Second.
short meeting. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine. I was just gonna ask a question as to whether the board was aware that because I was doing some looking around at our Climate Smart Group, and whether the board was aware that the Climate Smart Group is now operating their own website and social media page, advocating for various things. I don't recall that being part of their authority. I don't know who's paying for the website. I don't know who's actually running the social media site and the posts. I don't know if Chris or Maureen.
Well, the website is part of our public outreach, is part of Climate Smart. The social media, I'm not aware that we have a social media.
We do.
But the website, each, there's a list of things to doing with Climate Smart, and we've been designing it. I'm not sure we've put it out there yet, because I just took some of the pictures that were supposed to go on it.
It moved quick. It's there. I have no objection to the website. Seems harmless. I do have some concerns about the content on the social media Facebook feed. So I don't know whether there was a vote taken by the committee or the board as to who is operating it, who's putting content out. It is stated that it's on behalf of the town. I mean, I won't go through my entire list, but, you know, I think they're advocating for stuff that the town board may or may not deem as kind of partisan or controversial, and that was always my concern from the beginning. And I know I got a little flack for saying nobody's trying to advocate to take away your plastic straws, but of course the July 3rd post was plastic-free July. Let's target takeaway items such as bags and straws and coffee cups. So I mean, it's not that, I mean, the merits of it are here or there, but I remember getting a lot of heat saying, what are you concerned about the straws? We're not taking your straws. But of course, the last post was get involved, sign up to commit to, and give up all the items. And then there was other, you know, more controversial items like calls to support certain types of legislation, which I think the town board should be in charge of, whether we're advocating to push or not push certain bills that are up at the state senate, as long as advocating for the closure of certain power plants. And so I think, without going through it and making too big of a fuss of it, I think maybe we could get a sense of who is running this account and where it's headed, because I don't think, I understand the town board is supportive of the Climate Smart Initiative. I'm not entirely sure whether they're in support of all the content that's being put out.
I'll look into it. I have a meeting tomorrow night with them.
Okay.
Okay.
Can we move into executive session if there's no other public comment? Short meeting?
To discuss
Oh, geez, what do we discuss?
personnel.
Personnel.
Litigants.
Personnel.
Okay.
Personnel.
It was Chris.
All in favor? Thank you, everyone. See you in 2 weeks.